Going to the interview series today. I got a really special episode, a really special guest that I'm just happy to have here today interview because I feel like more people need to listen to this man's story. And I have my co-host Mike here with me.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Good to be back.
And without further ado, this is Jesse Arnett. Jesse, tell me about who you are, what you're doing these days, and let's go from there.
What's up, Johnson, my man? Good to see you today, Mike. First things first, good workout. That was good.
That was awesome.
Champ camp, always. Yeah, good to be here. Good to be on the podcast and ready for some fun questions.
So, Jesse, how did you start training martial arts? What was your first day at a gym like?
It's funny you say that. Everyone always laughs at me, but I can't lie about the story. So, growing up in the 90s, pro wrestling was huge. Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart. It was right after the Hulk Hogan era, and everything was crazy, and everything was about pro wrestling. So, me and all my friends wanted to be in the WWF at the time. Now it's called WWE.
Yeah.
So we heard on the intercom like a month into high school, grade 8, that there was wrestling practice. No lie, not a word of lie. I thought it was tryouts for like pro wrestling. I'm 13 years old. I don't know. I can't even sleep. I'm thinking tomorrow we're going to wrestling tryouts. And then I show up there, ends up being a female coach. Her name was Linda Miller. She ended up being the first female coach for wrestling in North America. And this was 1997, 98.
Wow.
And this lady ended up being my coach. And I didn't want to wrestle at first because I don't know if you guys watch wrestling, but you wear those tight little singlets.
Yeah.
And when you're like 1997, 98, 99, and you're wearing spandex that are this high,
Oh, yeah.
it wasn't really appealing. So all my friends were playing basketball at the time. I was actually a good little point guard, and I made the basketball team. I played ball grade 8 and 9, grade 10. But I continued to wrestle too, and I was getting good at wrestling, but I didn't like it. I'd always cry. I went to practice, and I liked working hard, but I really loved basketball. And then fast forward a few years to grade 10, I ended up winning nationals for wrestling, but my principal called me into the office, and he made me quit basketball. So my principal brought me into the office at school, made me quit this one sport to join this other sport and stay with it. Like, these days, I don't know if principals are doing this for kids, but
I don't know if they're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
at the time, in the 90s, I was super blessed, and 3 months later, I won my first national title at 92 pounds. So in grade 10 at 92 pounds, I was number 1 in Canada, and it was pretty cool. Under 16, I was number 1 in Canada.
You have any memories of that match?
Yes, I do. The Olympic coach at the time, then when I got a scholarship 2 years down the road to Simon Fraser University, but I won. I beat a tough kid from Alberta actually in the final. He was from way up north, and the national team Olympic coach came up to me after the fight, and he said, "Man, you're a little nail," and I was just really skinny and whatever, a little bit tough, I guess. So that always stuck with me, and I'll always remember that match. My mom was there too, and in wrestling, sometimes they draw the lights down and they make a big deal, right? And like you're wrestling and there's one mat and the lights are down, it's a big deal. So I'm in these pressure cooker situations at 13, 14, 15, 16 years old. So
And you traveled around the world to compete and wrestle.
Yes. So at the time, grade 8, 9, and 10, I'm just traveling inside of Canada. Well, fast forward a few years, because it's a long story. I ended up getting a full scholarship. I actually got second at nationals in grade 11. I won nationals in grade 12. So I was a high school prodigy coming out. In my grade 12 year, I trained with all the national team and the Olympic athletes at Simon Fraser University. I was in grade 12 hitchhiking from my school into the university after school to practice with these university guys and then hitchhike back. And I wouldn't tell my parents. I'd say I had a ride and this and that. And I'm like 16, 17 years old, 45-minute hitchhike just to get wrestling practice with the best guys in the country.
That's great.
Insane. Did you see wrestling as, when you were young, as the end game? Did you want to be an Olympic wrestler and that was it? When did you decide to switch over to MMA?
Okay, so it was my first year at university, and Randy Couture fought Chuck Liddell for the first time. It was big. Everyone started watching. Everyone started going down to this one bar in Burnaby and watching the UFC pay-per-views. It was something different. All of a sudden, the wrestlers that we knew around the world, like Randy Couture and these guys, well, these guys were in here doing well now. So it was always in the back of my head. But at this time, my goals were to try and get to the Olympics. And I ended up getting second at the Olympic trials. I got second at the seniors twice, and I got third at seniors. So I was a multi-time national medalist. I was the number one born Canadian. If we didn't, I don't know how many people are seeing this, but hearing this, I should say. But if we didn't fund immigrants like we do like crazy, I would have went to two Olympic Games. One for sure. Yeah. But we don't start wrestling here till we're 13. The Russians, the Cubans, the Africans, they start when they're 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah.
So by the time they're 16 years old, it's easier to put the money into them who've been at it for 10, 12 years than us who've been at it for 3 years.
Yeah.
Long story short, so even the Americans, a lot of the Americans, they're brought in and then they get their citizenship. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's interesting.
Well, it's a big thing for people that don't know, right? Like, you know, these guys, they get brought in, you know, whether it be for boxing or wrestling. Yeah, and basically they can earn their citizenship that way. What is it about wrestlers? Because wrestlers really get into it, man. They are passionate people.
Well, there's a little bit of a difference. See, I had to be at practice at 7 a.m. from 19 years old till 24 years old. And if I was missing, if I was late, you're off. If you're late twice, you're off the team. You're not. It's not about just showing up like we show up for jiu-jitsu and pay the bill. Like, we were getting paid to come there and wrestle, and wrestlers learn about commitment, dedication, hard work. The best fighters in the world often have wrestling backgrounds, I'd say, because of their character. Yeah, we're good athletes and we work hard, but a wrestler's mindset, generally, most wrestlers that come over, except for Ben Askren, figure out striking. Would you say that?
Ben Askren?
Most figure out striking.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
I would say 90% of the wrestlers that come over have a basic understanding.
Yeah.
Where you get maybe 50% of the high-level BJJ guys that come over that can pick up and understand.
I mean, I would say this, like, for you to be good at wrestling, you need to be really coordinated. You know, like, when you do boxing, you're only really looking at 3 or 4 things you're doing at the same time. When you're looking at wrestling, there's so many different variables. So if you can pick that up, you can pick up striking, boxing, how to throw a jab. You know what I mean? Obviously, there's levels to everything, right? Like, you know, a guy can throw a pretty good jab, and it's nowhere near a world-class jab, right? So there's that as well, right? But usually you find, you know, guys that come to striking, they learn how to anti-wrestle. They don't learn how to aggressively wrestle.
That could be the problem for the big cat sometimes.
So Jesse, because you wrestled with Henry Cejudo as well,
yes,
right?
I wrestled him one time. I actually made a mistake and I got up on him 3-0.
Wow.
And then he ended up taking it out on me in the second round. He beat me 13-3. So I made it into the second round with him. But honestly, probably the strongest talented man I was ever in there with. And then this guy, 20 years later, still the king of my weight class in a different sport. So.
Shit.
So what do you do, right?
Makes for a good story.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And for people that don't know, you didn't start training for your first couple MMA fights either. You were just a wrestler going in there.
Yeah, it's funny.
What's that?
Long story short, too. After I quit wrestling. I was still third, and I was 24 years old, 25 years old. But get this, I didn't do any partying. I was like, since grade 9 or 10, I was like so into this, and like I dedicated my whole life, and I missed out. And then maybe I'm 23, 24 years old. I'm like, what the heck? I didn't do anything. And then I'm like, man, I'm tired of this. I was carded. I was $30,000 a year to wrestle, which is not a lot, but you get to travel all around the world, man, and you get to go on all these trips. And I quit that, and I gave that up, and I went an hour outside of Vancouver back to my home city, Mission, BC. And in 2007, 2008, Mission, BC, this little town, 50,000 people, was a murder capital of Canada. Like, some crazy shit was happening at the time. The Bacon Brothers, crazy gangster stuff, and I was just wrapped up with the wrong people at the wrong time, and I spent was I 24, 25, 26, 3 hard years in the hood. And I saw UFC on TV. I saw Frank Mir against Mirko Krokop.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm a little guy, but I seen Frank Mir against Mirko Krokop, and me and my brother, we got kicked out of the bar that night because we didn't have any money to watch the main event, to stay in there to drink, right? And then I'm like, I'm not in a good spot, and I remember telling the lady, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be in the UFC, yeah, blah, 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 I'm out of here, right?
He's talking shit.
Later, 10 days later, me and my brother hopped in a vehicle, and we left that city. We moved to Toronto, and then eventually to Calgary, and now I have my whole family here, my brothers and my mom, and I got my life better. And that was in 2010. Another trial and error here. I signed up for MMA at the casino, but I never trained it. My first punch I ever threw, I landed and it dropped the guy. I never threw a punch before, and I choked him out. He was a Muay Thai guy. He was just, dude, I should show you, he was stacked. He was like jacked, like it was like scary. Even after everyone was like, how do you do that? I didn't even know.
Yeah.
And next one I lost to Wolfgang Jansen. I got caught in a submission. And then I won another one. And then I lost one. And then I won. So now I'm 3-3, and I beat some decent guys, but then I'm losing too, and I keep getting caught in submissions. So then I meet Anderson Goncalves, Greg Rago, and I decided, man, just buckle down. I'm not going to take a fight for 6-8 months. Let's try and figure this out, right?
Yeah.
Turns out I'm a grappler. What the hell am I doing getting subbed, right?
Yeah.
And then I went from 3-3 to 15-4, and I went on one of the biggest runs in Canadian MMA history. I made my dreams come true. In January of 2017, I got contract for UFC, and then that dickhead, Stefan Petre, fuck you, bitch, helped me my contract. So, didn't get to go to UFC, and then unfortunately, Josh Hill, I like you, Josh, you're my buddy. He knocked me out, and then I lost to Manis, and then Josh, and rebuilding my way back up. But the UFC is a young man's game, so it doesn't matter how it's so much politics.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's fighting, right? Fighting is a politic-driven game, but for again the audience that might not know, a lot of my audience will know because Jesse's pretty well known, but to go on a 12-fight win streak, a 12-fight tear, because that's what it is.
With 10 finishes.
Yeah, that's a tear, man. That is cutting through guys.
The biggest wins in those were Johnny Bedford. He shout out to my boy, brutal Johnny Bedford. He's
killing it right now.
Boxing champion of the world. He's one of my good friends, and he was sick that weekend. He missed weight, and he was sick, and he had a bad night, and I had a good night, and I beat him, and that was one of my biggest wins. And then also UFC veteran Roland Delorme. We fought a lot of tough guys. Actually, in that whole 12-fight win streak, not one guy had a losing record. The win-loss ratio was huge. Like I was fighting.
So, do you still prefer to grapple? Or?
Well, have you watched the last few fights?
I haven't seen them yet.
I'm long. I'm 5'10" with a 69-inch reach, and I'm a skinny wrestler, but with a striking body. But I grew up wrestling. So then once I learned how to punch a little bit, I fell in love with it. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I should use my wrestling more, but everybody at this level now can wrestle. It's easy for someone to stand in the corner and say, hey, wrestle that guy, wrestle that guy, wrestle. I'm fighting Ray Borg.
Yeah.
I'm fighting Dennis Laver, like Peter Yan's main training partner. Yeah. I'm fighting Elias. He's a brave world champion. And
it's tough. It's tough for the tall guy to get underneath on a smaller man too, you know? Like, yeah, and how good is Ray Borg, though?
Ray Borg's the best guy I've ever fought, hands down. He taught me a lot about composure. And he taught me a lot about being a man. It's funny because he's 27 years old. I'm 36 years old at the time when we fought. And, man, he's good. He's a little guy, high fight IQ. And I had a good time in there, regardless of the outcome.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's tough, like, because obviously the result, but, like I personally, just for me, like, I wish I have, like, a career quarter as accomplished as this, because like, man, I look at some of these guys on TV, and I'm watching Ray Borg in the UFC, and then Jesse hits me up, we're fighting Ray Borg, and I'm like, holy shit! Like, you know, it's like a movie almost. You
Yeah,
know?
my life has been a movie. The time off in the hood back home, it feels like a different life. The wrestling career before that feels like an eternity ago. Just a side story, quick. When I was 19 years old and I was in Russia, and I was 19 years old and I was in Cuba, we were going head to head with their 15-year-olds at the time. So their 15-year-olds were beating us at 19, but it was close. We might beat them 1 round 2. But their 16-year-olds spank us. So that's the level we were at internationally with these high up countries, right? So the Americans are good. The Americans can hang. Henry Cejudo beats the Russian, you know. The Jordan Burroughs beats the Russian. They lose to the Russian, but they also get it done and beat the Russian.
Where do you think Canada stands now on for MMA, like compared to the rest of the world?
I think we're doing good. I think the pandemic and all this sucks because I believe they were going to come to Canada, and we got some stars out in the East Coast.
Yeah.
And then we got Hakeem here. Chad just killed it with that song.
Yeah, that was.
Oh yeah.
That was beautiful.
That was just so nice.
And you know, Chad's another one. Look what I did. I started off with that low record. This guy came back. He was 2-5. He took some time off, got his career better, and now look where he's at. So anything can happen. And I'm not gonna totally give up. I got great management. I'm fighting in Abu Dhabi. I'm traveling around the world. I'm going back to Dubai. I didn't tell you this yet, but we'll tell you live. I'll break it to you here. Johnson's gonna be like, what the heck? But Paris FC got hold of us last night, and they offered Dennis a rematch. November 5th in Dubai for that belt. And I've got so much on the table right now, and I'm trying to do a snow route, and this and that. And I'm trying to do a training camp, and I got 3 fights on. Not signed, but like.
But on the queue right there.
So
yeah, that's clean.
The Russian. For those of you who don't know, I was controlling. Probably had the best 4 minutes of my life, and I got caught with a spinning back elbow. The referee didn't call it, and then he beat me up some more for a minute, and then I woke up in the back room. But,
I'm convinced, man. Some of these refs, man, just want to see somebody just get hurt for entertainment, man. It's not right.
Agreed, 100%. However, I can make it all right because you know what the beautiful thing about mixed martial arts is? In 29 days, when we defeat this next Russian, you're only as good as your last match.
What? 100%.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm back. I beat this Russian. I say, hey, Dennis, I'm the man. And then I'm back on top. So it is what it is. But I'm just thankful to be able to travel during this BS and compete. I'm thankful for you, Johnson. Like, frick, man. Like, today,
man, I appreciate that, man.
I try to get out. Not personally. I got a lot going on right now, right? I try to, like, I'm always going to do my work at home. I'm not going to cheat. I'm not going to sit and not do my work.
Yeah. And this is like, you know, I got a lot of time for Jesse because, like, this is a man that even when he's injured, when he's hurt, tired, personal stuff, you know what I mean? This guy shows up to the gym. Sometimes, you know, I'd be training like an amateur or even a lower level pro, and, you know, it's like a 50-50 when they come to practice. It's like a coin flip, man. You know, it's ridiculous stuff, man. Just to change the subject quickly, out of all the places you've been around to train, you were in Sanford as well.
Yes.
Where does that compare?
For mixed martial arts, Sanford MMA was amazing, man. Henry Hoof, Nate Marquardt, all my friends down there, and all the coaches and athletes. That was unreal. For what happened to me missing my UFC opportunity, and then going down there and being in that room for 2 months and performing at that level and with those guys, I know, they know, everyone knows the level I'm at. The 145 pounders in that gym, in the UFC, know the level I'm at. And that, if anything, that made up for missing the UFC. It really did. And then Robbie Lawler became a good buddy of mine, and Robbie's dope. Robbie's never on the ground, but he took half hour of himself. 7 days before he fought Diaz, he took half hour and just worked ground escapes with me. He didn't know me. He just liked me, and then after Diaz, he'd always sit in my corner and sparring. He liked me for some reason. Robbie's good shit. So Robbie Lawler and Nate Marquardt, two of my best boys that I made down there, and everyone, man. Chandler's okay. He likes to bug us a lot. They like to bug the Canadians because we always say "hey." But don't think the Americans are better than us. They just got better opportunity and more population, more training partners, more facilities.
And they got shows also all the time, right? Like
their commission will charge $1,500 to put a show on, and our commission is charging
it's
$1,000 or whatever it is.
Yeah,
brutal. If it wasn't for Kieran Cadell moving to this town, nothing against Muay Thai kickboxing, but Muay Thai kickboxing is the number one thing in Alberta right now. And this is pretty. Come on, how
100%.
Kieran built this. Kickboxing is the number one thing in Alberta right now, and it's not. It shouldn't be. Yeah. Not when MMA is like it is, but nobody knows how to build anything, and the commission and the government can't get things right. Thankful for Kieran getting on the Satina there, on the reserve, and all the people there that are giving all the athletes. I believe that show I seen, the Muay Thai World Cup, the first one, that arena was one of the coolest live experiences I've ever been to.
And it was clean.
He killed it.
Yeah.
And I was thinking since that day, wow, man, if we could fight and put MMA in this and get Kieran behind some MMA and blah blah blah.
Well, they had the all women's MMA event in the arena.
Yeah, I heard that. They did that in the same arena?
Yeah.
How was it?
It was really good.
How was the layout?
The turnout was still iffy.
No, how was the layout though? Like
the layout was
the
good.
Same as Muay Thai? Like with that long runway?
A little different.
Yeah.
A little different. They came out from a back. They built up like a back end there, and they all walked out straight to the cage instead of walking through the crowd. But no, it was great. Chris Cyborg was there. She made me feel very small. I got a picture with her.
That's hilarious. I know a couple people who met Cyborg, and she's.
But you know Curtis Demoris, yeah, he's trained with.
For sure, but I met Amanda Nunes, and I'm standing next to her, and I'm pretty big bantamweight. This chick was monster and towering over me, shoulders. Her head was twice the size of me. I'm just
man.
Next to Amanda Nunes, that's feeling like small, and I'm a big guy for really big guy for the division. Some of those girls at bantamweight are absolutely beasts.
Chris Cyborg's hands. I can't get over her hands.
I heard that.
They're just like boulders.
Yeah, well, when she puts them to use, like 100%. Is there any dream fight that you wish you could have had, or that you might still have in the horizon?
Wish. I like thinking sometimes. In 2017, when I would have got signed, the division was still up for grabs, where I could have had some interesting fights inside the top 10. I could have made some money, and it would have been really good. It would have been interesting to see. By 2019, 2020, 2021, everyone had kind of come in now, and my prime was over, kind of like that 2017 when I was on my 12-fight win streak, and that would have been the time for me to get in there, and maybe TJ Dillashaw would have been my dream match at the time, for sure.
How do you think that one plays out?
In your prime, yeah. In my prime, it would have been a great fight.
But like we didn't start working until what, 2018?
2018, yeah.
Yeah, 2017 maybe even, because I was when the UFC gym was still open.
Yeah.
So imagine me in the corner. We've been training. You're on your 12-fight win streak. We're fighting TJ Dillashaw. Yeah. We got Dwayne across the octagon.
I like that fight back in the day. I looked up to TJ. I did. I still like him. Like the steroids aside, this and that, all the BS.
Yeah, he catches a lot of slack. Yeah.
I like the way he throws her right hand and throws his leg up. I like his combos. I like the way he moves, and I don't care about all that other junk and stuff on TV. I like how he performs in there, and I'm a fan of TJ Dillashaw and have his fighting style. And my dream fight was Johnny Bedford, and me and Bedford were college wrestlers, and we stood for 5 rounds and nobody took a shot. So it was pretty fun.
Mexican style.
Yeah, it was fun. I had a blast. And then, Ray Borg. 100%.
Ray Borg. What about Mighty Mouse? Because he used to compete also. He's too fast.
Yeah, man. Like, imagine fighting you, but 135 pounds with, dude, all you have to do is this. That's all they do. They just do this, and then the guy's like, seriously. Like, those feints. The little guys are harder sometimes. Yeah. A very skilled 25er is sometimes harder than a 35er. Just because if they can move well, man.
He's got a good imagination. I think that
he
makes
does.
him dangerous, you know?
He believes in himself.
He believes in himself,
Yeah.
100%.
He put some crazy shit together, that's for sure.
Yeah, I want to see TJ versus Peter Yan. But Peter Yan's got that fight with Aljo, which I think will not go well for Aljo.
Looking back, Aljamain did well in the early rounds, but I know Peter and I know their whole crew, actually. You know what? I didn't tell you this either. I might have told you this. But after the fight, Dennis and Peter reached out to me, and they were going to pay for me to come to Thailand to do camp with Peter Yan right now at Tiger Muay Thai. And they like me. The Russians love me. And I would have been out there right now if I didn't have responsibility helping Peter Yan get ready for Aljamain and all that whole crew. Instead, now they probably thought I said no on purpose, and now they called me out again, right? So me and the Russians have always had things back and forth. Do you guys know Jake McKenzie?
Yeah.
Okay, well, so I didn't know this, but Jake McKenzie's a famous jiu-jitsu world champion or something, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm at the jiu-jitsu tournament last couple of weeks ago, and he comes up to me. I don't really know him. He's like, "Hey, Jesse Arnett, you're the man." I didn't know who was Jake McKenzie. He's like, "Man, you don't know, but we wrestled when you were at the Klansman. You kicked my ass 10-0, right? And then you went to war with the Russian, and he's like, you beat the Russian in overtime, and the Russians were pissed off, and I was bleeding. I cut the one guy open, and I forgot all about this, right? And Jake McKenzie comes up to me 3 weeks ago and tells me the story, and then it all comes back to me, and it's just like, wow, I was having wars with the Russian when I was 19 years old, right? So here I am, almost 20 years later, still at war with this country in competitive nature. However, I take for granted sometimes how much experience I really have, because I totally forgot about that match. I totally forgot about wiping the floor with Jake McKenzie, and I was almost embarrassed about after not knowing who he was.
Poor Jake.
He's a legend, right?
Yeah.
You said I whooped his butt. I don't remember the match. So, but it's just funny how that was. I do remember that Russian, though. It was 4-4, and I headbutted him, and I cut him open. Wrestling's aggressive on the front. Some Americans end up getting this cauliflower ear on the top of their eyebrows.
Yeah.
From always like button. So
fluid
this will
buildup as
start
well.
to build in here. So the old coaches will have it like all on the top. You're like, what the heck, man? Don't fuck that guy. It's so funny.
Brutal. You also had one professional boxing match.
Yeah.
As well. Because you frequent boxing gyms as well. How do you feel the training is in terms of demeanor? How do you think a boxer prepares versus how an MMA fighter prepares?
Boxers and boxing gyms and wrestling gyms are a little similar. You get in there, you listen to who's in charge, you work hard, and you don't ask questions. You do put your head down, you do your work. Jiu-Jitsu MMA is a little more talking. It's a little more, hey, it's a little more like, hey, does this work? Does that work? And the one thing I like about boxing gyms and wrestling gyms is you get in and there's a purpose and you're going to work. Not that there's not a purpose at those other gyms. I just have found, coming from a wrestling background, wrestling and boxing gyms are definitely my favorite gyms. Nothing against jiu-jitsu, but definitely the structure of training, coaches, hard work, boxing, wrestling.
Simple, straight to the objective.
Yeah, keep it simple, stupid, as Henry says. Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. Henry says that.
That's pretty funny. If you had any bit of advice for up-and-coming fighters, maybe a young kid, 16, 18 years old, been at a gym for a little while, how do you feel...
maybe a 31-year-old.
Yeah. Mike here. And how do you advise them going about? How do you say, they come up to you, they come out to you at a gym in the change room, say, hey, Jesse, like, you know, I've been training for 2 years. I love MMA. I don't want to go to school. I want to fight. I want to fight people for money. What do you tell them? What's your advice to them?
Well, to be honest, nowadays it's very, very hard. You had to start when you're young. You had to come from a background. If you decide you want to jump in at 18, 19 years old, it's going to be hard. Very hard. So, one bit of advice I could give right now is, in my era coming up, it was cool to fight all the hard guys. You know, now it's not. It's MMA is turning into boxing.
Yeah.
You fight 4 or 5 guys that your management or your promoter or whoever's helping you out can get you those wins, then you're in the UFC or in your contender series. It's not about fighting the tough guys anymore. It's about getting to 5-0 and getting to the UFC.
Getting some hype behind you.
Getting some hype behind you and getting some money.
Yeah.
And if you're just fighting for fun, then that's something you could just do at the casino. Go to jiu-jitsu, go to boxing, go to wrestling. There's nothing wrong with doing this for fun. Going to practice every day for mixed martial arts isn't going to make you a worse person.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would argue it would make you a better person. You know, because like the average person, especially the average guy, let's be honest,
100%.
totally overestimates what they can do, like physically, you know.
I have to hear it from the guy in the third row every time I fight, right?
Take
That's the beautiful
him down!
Just
hit
him! Exactly.
Yeah.
The classic, more in America, but fuck him up!
Yeah.
It's the goal.
It's like, I'm trying. This guy's good, man.
Great tactical advice right there.
You know?
Thank you, sir.
The beautiful thing about the Middle East is you pass guard, you hear the applause in the crowd. Someone stands up and does a nice escape, you hear the applause. You know, they really
It's a little bit more
respect
understanding.
the understanding. No one's drinking there in the crowd. You're not allowed to drink in the audience. Everyone's there to watch.
Yeah.
Here, we're there to get lit and have a good night with our friends and talk about the main event and watch it on the phone the next morning because we pissed drunk most of the time. Everyone don't
Like
remember.
watch your buddy fight, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're so into it, and even I'm quite the fan favorite there. I got a lot of fans there, and they wait for you outside the arena, and they wait for you, and like even if you're a lower fighter, like from somewhere else, and you're whatever your record is, it doesn't matter. You get treated how a UFC fighter would get there. Like so, everyone's just really respected, and they love jiu-jitsu. They love the cauliflower ears, and it's a great culture, and this also makes up for the UFC and missing out. Like MTK, shout out Marcelo, Rizvan, my management crew. Like this is my 4th trip to the Middle East in a world pandemic, whatever's going on, right? So I'm very thankful for that.
So to wrap up the advice, you know, like Jesse didn't say it's impossible to get into MMA late, but it definitely helps coming from a background because think about this. If you're going to do this, you want to do this well and you want to reach a level. Eventually, if you keep winning, if you know, get good management, this and that, you become 5-0, you are going to run into the Russians, the Americans, you know, even, you know, the English is quite good.
Yes, sir.
You know, they're you know, they've hired a lot of international coaches, you know, so, you know.
The sport's just expanding. Like in 5 years, it's crazy. I look at me, man. I'm how old am I? I'm 84. Like I'm 38 years old in July, and the guy I'm fighting in 29 days just had his 26th birthday. He's a 15-0 prospect from Dagestan, and let's go, right? Let's see what he's got. You know, I got the experience. Can't be as unlucky as last time. There's no way. And I've already got my flinching better. I think we've improved already, given the circumstances, and I'm just excited to get overseas and do battle with another Russian. And just to touch up on what you just mentioned, yes, it's not impossible. Take it from me. I got into this sport. I didn't start punching people in the head until 27 years old. However, I would not be where I'm at today if I did not join wrestling from 13 years old, 12, 13 years old, and put my heart in it till I was 23, 24. If I didn't have that and all that international experience, I wouldn't be sitting here today. No way. You can't. I couldn't have picked that up at 27 years old. So, not impossible, but
it's a long
background, man. A background is important. I think
Lays the foundation.
Rory was the first guy who came up and had it all, right? Even George St. Pierre was doing karate. He came from a structured childhood.
Yeah.
And he's our biggest star we've ever had, right? George St. Pierre.
Yeah, 100%. We actually talked about George, the last one we did with Dylan, and he's undoubtedly like the greatest Canadian athlete, and he did it at a time where you know, like I read his biography, he pretty much did it himself. You know, like he would take himself to boxing gyms and he would take himself. Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, if you want to get into the sport, man, you have to sacrifices, man. Lots and lots of sacrifices. It's not like you see these guys on TV, like, yeah, they're fit, this and that. It takes a lot of effort, man, to get a pro fighter into that octagon, man. A lot of effort, man.
100%.
Even it takes a lot of effort to get one guy from day one to a jiu-jitsu tournament. You know, his first white belt tournament. You know.
Unreal.
You know, it's not easy. Like, you get off the couch, you're like, oh yeah, I can beat that guy up. Be like, okay, go try.
It's funny how many people think that.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I always wondered. Because I know that I can't go beat somebody in tennis or golf or even hockey, or I just know I couldn't go beat you at soccer, you know. And
I think anybody who does a martial art is just more humble.
You know why? Because we've been
Exactly.
beat up.
We've been smashed.
There's always that bigger guy. There's always that better guy. You know.
Yeah.
So like, you've been humbled if you've been in martial arts. If you haven't been in martial arts, like, yeah, you got that bro mentality. You know, I was in hockey. Yeah, I threw some fights, or I was in some bar fights, or whatever.
Yes,
you know.
I think Mike Tyson said, he's like, fighters are the most humble people. You know why? Because we've all had our ass kicked.
Yeah.
Every single one of us. And Floyd's been knocked out in the gym. I don't care what anyone says. Mayweather.
Yeah.
So, and Mayweather lost when he was an amateur. So.
Yeah, in the Olympics.
And the Olympics, he got silver, right?
Bronze.
Bronze. Yeah.
Second place is the first.
And then
yeah. Wrestling coach used to say.
Yeah.
If you ain't first, you're last.
But then, you know.
UA Warriors. Oh yeah, another thing. I'm fighting in ESED Arena this time, which is, you guys don't know this because you're probably not familiar with Abu Dhabi, but it's on Yawz Island. It's where the UFC competes. It's, if this arena was here it would be the nicest arena in our country. You know, like, this is like, I can't even compare it to anything. Like, it's all digital and it's like, it moves, like the thing like raises.
The thing from the future.
Yes, man, it's unreal. Like spaceships fly around there. It's like, it's crazy. Like, it'll like land. This spaceship will come and land by it and like crazy stuff. Like, I just gotta send you the video. So, not only do I have a huge fight, I'm also fighting in a really world famous arena. So I'm very thankful for that. And they haven't announced it yet, but I wouldn't doubt if we were main event or I will be co-main. I will be high on the card. It's a big fight. They've used me in the main event before against Borg. Shout out to Fod, my man. He the owner there loves me. He takes care of me, and nothing but good things to say about Abu Dhabi. And I'm stoked to finish this camp off strong with Johnson and get in there and get back on track. Get the win. 19, baby.
100%. Let's go. I think that's a pretty good place to bring the interview to a stop, man. I just want to say thank you, Jesse, for...
I got one more question, actually.
Yeah.
No problem.
What do you hope to accomplish at the end of your career? What do you want to be known for?
You know, it's funny you say that because, I don't know, even today, the other day, one of my main sponsors, he wrote something pretty cool, and it made me a little bit happy. I think it's on your thing right there, actually. He's right, the big cat is back, and we're looking forward to seeing him back in action. Knockout Canada's Jesse Arnett continues to cement his legend status in combat sports. So one thing I'm really proud of is all my peers, all the people in the sport who know the sport, they love me, and they got mad respect for me. The haters, they're the ones that don't really like do it or know nothing about it. Like like Michael Chandler, he'll tell you right now that Jesse Arnett can fight. You know what I mean? And like Robbie Lawler, my friends, like when I was down in this real camp, they'll tell, I know how I can fight, you know. So, if anything I could hope to accomplish from this is like I want to write a book. I'm actually, real quick, if we got 2 minutes, I'm doing a short documentary series right now. And it's actually my buddy in California, Paul Black. Jeremiah, what's up? I'll see you guys in Abu Dhabi when we finish this. But the documentary ended with my face getting smashed out by that Russian. and my face all blacked up, and we ended the documentary there. Now, fast forward 6 months, my buddy ended up staying out there and traveling. He's meeting me back in Abu Dhabi with the documentary crew from Hollywood, and we're going to finish this documentary. And they just got investors from Hollywood through Mark Wahlberg and another guy. So we're making a big, huge documentary on this, and this is something we're working on right now with me, and I'm so blessed to be a part of this. And I got people like Mark, my buddy was Mark Wahlberg's guy, who's like going to be directing this, and this could possibly be a movie down the road. And like, I'm around the right people right now, and if anything, I want kids to hear my story. You know, because we didn't just beat people in the ring, right? So.
100%, like literally coming from nothing.
Yes. To
arenas in the Middle East, you know, craziness.
Good times.
Good
question,
times, man.
Good question. But yeah, that's the goal. So look out for the documentary. We're trying to get that shit on Netflix. We got raw footage of Nate Marquardt, my brother, Jeremiah Black, and the guys actually got up on the ringside. We got everything live encounter. We got interviews with Peter Yan, everyone after, like, it can't wait for it to come out, and we're going to finish this documentary in Abu Dhabi. I'm meeting my boy out there, so I'm really happy about that. It was a bit of a surprise, and then finding out the other day that they're in contact with some bigwigs from Hollywood, and we're going to get some investing on it, so...
That's so clean.
Can't wait to see it.
I'm stoked on that right now.
Like, I'm going to tell you right here, man, like, you put so much into the sport, you know, like grinding, like in the dark. Everything that happens that's good for you, you 1,000% deserve, my friends. 1,000%,
Much
man.
love, bro.
Much love, man. That was it, man. That was the interview.
That was a good one, yeah?
Thank you so much, Jesse. I appreciate it.
Are you guys doing good with this stuff?